No intros, no gimmicks, and lastly, being focused on what I'm doing. So, yeah, today isn't a lucky day because I broke my phone, which is the LG G2. But since the screen is broken, I can get an opportunity to somehow remove every parts I can, and I mean to say it's kind of risky doing this actually, considering there are lots of connections inside. I mean, it's not like the G3 or, you know, I mean, the LG G5 is probably the most repairable ones I could imagine, but seriously, the LG G2 and the LG Optimus G is pretty much difficult to repair, especially the G2 having those. Like, come on, that's just so crazy. So, with confidence, I'm not sure if it's gonna work after doing this. Like, come on, I don't like this. Yeah, I know the screen is broken, but internally it does work, except the screen is broken. So, anyways, let's begin the real stuff. Well, yeah, let me just take off the other phone because it's gonna be distracting. So, as you can see here, the screen is broken. Yikes, not a good sign. It doesn't turn on because the screen is literally broken. So, what we need in here is, of course, the SIM ejector. Take out the SIM. Like, yeah, it's just the SIM card, no micro SD card slot or dual SIM. It's not the first phone to remove the micro SD card. It's most likely the LG Optimus G, which came out 1 year late. I mean, 1 year before after this phone. Yeah, the phone came out. Just for verification, yes. I just put it in the comments. Yes, guitar picks. The classic way. So what we're gonna do in here is to somehow use my fingernails because sometimes, yeah, you hear those sounds. So let's begin. And also, don't forget that the back cover is so glossy. Like, come on, this is a fingerprint magnet. So this part is kind of easy, but soon as we get on the motherboard part, that's where things go so really difficult. So with my clips, oh, for some reason the phone screen just turned on, but never mind, it doesn't work. I mean, I can tell you that it's what? What? Wait. I never thought it's easier than I thought. Yeah, that's what. So this is a bonus, I think. But repairability scores will come later off. So let's flip the back over. We're gonna put the screws on the. I mean to say, if we reassemble the phone back later, it should somehow. Yeah, otherwise we are gonna have problems with that later. It's yeah, this part is pretty easy. just yeah, you're I'm pretty chill on the spots. But soon as we get on these, yeah, these are the daughter board connections. I was so scared. Don't let, don't mess out this phone. And I'm not sure if it's gonna turn on later after the this assembly. It's so meh. Oh my gosh. I wish it does turn on later. Otherwise, I'm wasting money about of this one. Like, come on, this is more like an some sort of like HTC one series where yeah, there are a lot of connections buried out there. At least it's not bad as like you know. I will gonna show you later that one. So this part pops up so easy. So now we're gonna go to the somehow the loudspeaker part that just comes out easily. But soon as we get on these, I mean these are the connections. Theoretically, you should be safe by snapping that off. But no, these connections are somehow adhered to the EMI shield, which is behind of it is the EMMC. Yeah, that's how LG designed their phones, anyways. And yes, this is legit LG, as you can see in the battery. I'm not joking. It's actually the LG G2, as the title says. Like, come on. I was pretty chill on this spot. Yeah. And okay, so just to be safe, I recommend you disconnect the battery first before you touch anything. Since this is pretty. Oh my god. I wish I can snap it safely. Yeah, there it goes. Snap off. So, what we're gonna do next? Okay, I had to grab my tweezers next because it's. I mean, it's. I wish I can film myself there, but let me just grab my tweezers and I'm gonna be right back. Sorry for the delay, but looks like I kind of lost my tweezers and I finally found it. It was somehow found it in my drawer. Yeah, that was so ridiculous. Now back to the business. Oh boy, I'm kind of scared. So this part is kind of easy, not until okay. Oh, jeez, come on. This is so difficult. Finally snapped that guy off. Now to the other side of things. That was just difficult. So soon as we disconnect these two, let me just show you this. Now to disconnect the digitizer like this, and then the secondary digitizer connection on the bottom. I was pretty meh. Why does a phone have to have two different digitizer connections? I mean, what's the purpose of this? It's just making repairs so difficult. Not gonna lie on you. And finally, the screen. Jesus, I was kinda scared. Okay, so now we're gonna go to the so-called EMI, which is kinda. I cannot film it, but I hope I didn't break anything here. Just in case, it was so difficult. Like, come on, where I'm gonna start? I don't want to break the phone's motherboard. Like, motherboard replacements cost like a new phone, while screen replacements, on the other hand, is pretty cheaper. So, anyways, let me just concentrate. It's so difficult to the point I don't want to break it. Like, come on, I don't want to waste money out of this. So I had to be very careful, otherwise, you know what I'm talking about. Ah, I don't think I'm gonna film myself until I remove the EMI shielding. That was just so difficult. So let me just concentrate a little. It's so difficult. I was trying to film myself, but no. It's just so hard to take it off. Like literally. Why did they put an adhesive on this? Like, come on, Jesus. That was just so painful. And looks like I finally take it off after concentration. So yeah, I finally snap it off. And here is how it looks like. So this is pretty much it. We're gonna remove this connection. I mean, it's kind of difficult. No, 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 not the screw. Why it's so difficult? So we're gonna remove the daughter board, which is this connection to this one. It does many things, including screen connections. So before I actually do this, I had to snap off these two little goblins here. Like, come on, this is absolutely abomination for this. It's so difficult to get it off. Like, one wrong move equals to a useless paperweight. But since I actually tried removing this before, but I wasn't successful. I wish I was successful this time. Otherwise, I was so scared. My God, please don't break it. You can do this. So this is pretty held very well, so I'm gonna proceed to the risky way. Yeah, you had to put this like this, but not too far, otherwise you're destroying your headphone jack. Maybe not. I had to remove this connection. This is just abomination. Like, why did they have to bury a lot of components? And what's even worse than that is they actually use a lot of adhesive for the battery, which is Ah, not so straightforward. It's really risky. Like, come on. It's just so risky to get in. I hope I didn't break any parts. Okay, looks like it rotates. And then, like, yeah, that's so abomination. One connection got removed. That's good because I can also disconnect this little flap. But as for the last one that I go there before, come on, let me just take it apart. Finally, I can get a deep breath now because now to the really unusual ways. But come on. So with the help of screwdriver, just be careful not to break any pot. Otherwise, I mean, I don't think they sell this parts. Or maybe if they do, it's kind of expensive. Okay, looks like it's taking apart. So we're gonna carefully drag it off and then finally, victory. I finally successfully removed this unusual iffy stuff on the G2. That was so difficult. And now to the motherboard. At least the motherboard can be easily removed. So we're gonna remove the camera, the sensors, but also carries the IR blaster on it. What a smart idea coming from LG. So the battery was already disconnected, and at this point, the motherboard is out of the phone. Yep, these are my customized thermal pads, so it will run much cooler. And those, meh, never mind about those custom stuff. So we're gonna go to the vibration motor, which I hope it doesn't break. Come on, just do this, please. And the battery is kind of risky to remove. Like, come on, too many adhesive on it. So let me just show you how to somehow safely slide it in. Like, come on, what? Are you even serious? What? I thought it's kind of risky. But no, I was wrong. The battery is actually easier to remove than usual. And look at the battery dates. It says 2039.7. So that means this battery was from 2013 September. How amazing. I thought it was risky. I wish I explored more about this. And I finally tore down the LG G2 at this point. Let me just push a little on the sensors because I don't want to use the. Oh, maybe. Never mind, I will not let it slide. So here is how it looks like when the G2 was torn down into pieces. So you have the actual frame, which is also where your screen goes, your battery, the daughter board, the motherboard, also known as the main board. Yeah, a lot of graphite and copper sheets. The loudspeaker, the back cover. So let me just put the here. And lastly, this top portion. That's how your G2 will look like if it's torn down. So yeah, it kind of caught my interest a little bit. Like, yeah. But I want to compare it to something similar like the HTC. Let me just, come on, present. Let me just present you the iFixit page. So let me just, so you can compare it to this. Let me just fix the view. Let me just, come on, what's happening? Uh, Maybe this. Okay, I will edit the layout. Okay, where? I know it. I can compare it like this. So let me just compare it side by side. So here is the HTC One M7 Teardown. It's pretty much similar to the connections. It's just read more info. I mean this one, but it's not really that bad as that one. I mean, the G2 is somehow much easier to get on compared to the HTC. I wasn't even surprised why it got a very low repairability score. Like, come on, this isn't repairable as much, and this is how it looks like when it's torn down. So let me just click on the image. Let me just fix it. There you go. That, you can compare it to that one. So yeah, compare this one to this one. It actually came out in the same year, but for some reason it caught my interest. So anyways, let's get this phone back to the reassembly. So I actually applied a thermal paste here, but if the frame has to be replaced, then I'm gonna transfer anything I can transfer. So what I'm gonna do first is the battery, since 12 years later, it was still so sticky, but not that much. So I'm just gonna drop the battery like this and give it some presses, but not too much because puncturing it will cause it to explode. Next, the motherboard. Wait, so I actually applied some heat sinks on the camera also, so let's just reinstall that. I mean, this phone really needs some heat sinks. If you don't know what heat sinks actually mean, those are your cooling system somehow. It can be copper based, water based, whatever you call it. There are a lot of types of heat sinks. So now to the front camera. I wish it hopefully works later, but I'm gonna find out before actually reassembling it. It actually lights up, but come on. Now, I, I actually wanted to separate this from these connections, but it is so risky to do so because there are chances of ripping it off. While bending it like this won't break it, but slicing through it will break it. So be careful handling this daughter board, otherwise it looks so fragile to touch on it. Like, come on. What are you doing? Like, this isn't considered as repairable. Although it's not listed in the repairability scores, but I was just so scared to touch this phone. But somehow, I wish I could put things back to normal. Like, come on, this is a nightmare. Yeah, reassembly is also a nightmare in here. Like, this is not what I actually expect for a smartphone. Hopefully LG fixes this on the G3, but for this, which is its own predecessor, it's pretty. Oh my god. Let me just. Come on. I hope it works after the reassembly. Or maybe not. But I have positive hopes. So let me just keep trying. Or maybe I'm gonna power off my camera a little because I couldn't film myself even more after this. Like how difficult you are to reassemble. What a total nightmare is that. And what's even worse than that is if it's actually brand new, it's so difficult to take apart. I mean, the battery is so strongly adhered to the point you couldn't bend it a little. I mean, you can remove it without bending a little. It's just worse than the Samsung S6. I mean, yeah, it's also one of those phones to be hard to repair, to be honest. I'm not going far that much. It's not just LG or HTC, it's also Samsung or even the iPhone, especially the first generation iPhone from 2007. It was just a total nightmare repairing that phone. Hopefully, I don't experience it, but if you watch videos out of it, you'll realize yourself that it was a total nightmare. To be honest with you, too many soldered connections, too many whatsoever. Come on. So, anyways, I'm just reconnecting the daughter board, which is extremely difficult. And I'm being honest, it was a total nightmare. This, oh yeah, I'm just reconnecting it before I actually turn on the camera again, which I was hoping that it works again later. I also don't recommend you touch a lot of on the daughter board because it was so fragile. Come on. I'll gonna give it a little oops until okay it should click back on. Finally I clicked it back. That was just a nightmare. And yeah, this is back. So I remember this. I mean this goes straight there. But I better reconnect this part first. Come on, this is so risky. I was hoping I was safe doing this. It's just so risky. Risky as what? So I'm just gonna connect it to the charger because I'm kind of meh. Yeah, it actually turns on before the tear down, but I'm not sure if it's gonna turn on again since I already touched on the internals. The daughterboard was pretty difficult to get on, so I'm gonna leave it like this. I think it actually connects like this, though, but it kind of interferes with the digitizer connection. Yeah, kind of weird. There are actually two of them, so yeah, one of them are connecting to the top and one of them connecting on the bottom. Like, why do we need those unnecessary connections? Well, it kind of sounds like unnecessary, but if one of them aren't connected, then the touch won't work properly. snap and another. So let me just realign this because it's kind of messy. And they are color coded, which is good. Yeah, hopefully they color coded this one because this is to avoid confusion. Why isn't uns- unstable? This is so unstable because it kind of jiggles again. That's just so meh. It jiggles, it wiggles, or whatsoever. But connecting these aren't easy. I mean, it's actually difficult than it sounds like. And chances are they are kind of loose. You thought it was connected back because of the click, but actually not. Okay, let me just press it like this. There's actually a way to remove the daughter board without actually removing this messy meh connectors, then I will take that path. But it's not an option because of how is this designed? Like, come on. And this is where things get so messy. It just gets so out of hand. So I had to disconnect this again. And and then again, I was hoping it turns on again, which I'm not sure of. I mean, even if the display is broken, it can at least be noticeable if it turns on or not. So yeah, we finally get in here to the reassembly. So sometimes the EMI shield gets so messy. So we're gonna start dangling first and try connecting it temporarily. And to the other one, you hear the satisfying snap and then the digitizer on the daughter board. Like, yeah, these are the digitizers, and this is your screen. Ah, sick. I wish they never built a phone like this. It's not bad as the first generation iPhone, but it's more like an HTC clone. Although not bad as HTCs, but I wish it was built to be much easier to mess around. Like the Nexus 5. I mean, yeah, in certain cases they are kind of similar to the Nexus, but I promise it's not the same story. So while I already ordered the new screen, what the problem is sometimes there are cases where the length of this digitizer here gets mismatched because they picked up the wrong model. Like for example, okay, let me just wrote it because those are serial numbers. Yep. So just in case you're ordering a new screen, you had to make sure it matches your model. But hopefully they kind of wrote it in here. So mine says D802. I mean, even on the software itself. So it means I had to use the D800 too. Otherwise, it won't fit here. Chances are they make it work here, but not here. But getting one of, I mean to say, getting both is kind of crucial because both are digitize your connections. And this is your LCD. Jeez. Will this thing turn on again? Okay, I had to breathe a little. So let me just reconnect the battery, which, okay, reconnected. Does it light up? No! No, no, no. It doesn't. I don't see any display at all. Like, unlike before, there is a display. My god, I messed this phone up. Let me just try plugging it into the charger. Not in my case. No, no. So sometimes it actually works by reconnecting the the daughterboard connections by, okay, let me just do this. This is really risky, but if the phone works again, then I'm gonna take the risk and proceed replacing the display because the procedure actually requires removing the entire parts. And wait, are you serious? This is the light. As I can tell you, it actually starts springing up back to life. Oh boy, I thought I'm gonna break the phone itself, but it actually turns on again. Like, check this out. Yeah, no display because the display is broken. But we have a phone that turns on. So I might reassemble the screws back. I mean, back. So reassembly time. That was so iffy to to repair. It's just a mess to repair a phone like the G2 or the HTC. I mean, literally. That's just the worst phones to repair. I mean, it's actually on the list of the posts I made where the hardest to repair phones from 1 to 10. 1 is the hardest and 10 is the. It's still hard, but not bad as the first one. If you want to check it out, I'm gonna put the link on the chats because it gets a little bit covered up. So here is the link. Let me just paste it here and also flash it. So yeah, I actually have the LG G2 as the sixth place because considering these connections, like come on, this is so. And what's even worse is that it's not just connections; it's also the model complexity itself. If you're not a tech savvy guy who knows model numbers, then you randomly ordered the screen and somehow it doesn't work because you didn't connect this because it doesn't fit in this connector, then you're lost. I mean to say, yeah, model complexity, too many random connections, and as a bonus, the screen itself is actually fragile than you expect. I mean, yeah, this is pretty fragile, so be careful when repairing the G2, otherwise you ended up getting a broken screen, which hopefully You don't, because it's so painful, like painful in the pocket and on the neck. It's like a literal torture. Like, come on. But at least at the end, it actually works somehow. But since the display is not working as a part of it, the touch screen is also broken. But I might connect this to the PC because I'm curious to see if it actually loads the Android OS. Yeah, you can tell that by enabling USB debugging because you can use a screen mirroring app from Android to PC. I'm gonna tell you later about it. I mean to say, yeah, why is it so painful to reassemble a phone? Not bad as the HTC, but it's literally meh. I wish they never made a phone like this. I mean, the phone itself isn't that bad, but considering there's a lot of stuff to consider, like no SD card slots, no, no, I mean, to say, yeah, at the time the display was pretty good, but for 2025, we need at least 1440p display. I mean, 2K. Like, let me just comment that one because yeah, this is the resolution we need for 2025. But back then, this phone came out. It was pretty stunning and good. But the lackluster is like the lack of SD card slots and, you know, but Samsung did the same in 2015 with the S6. So you can see the SIM tray. It's just a single SIM, by the way. No dual SIMs. And that's another lackluster. No dual SIMs. Only one SIM card can be installed on this phone, regardless on your location. I mean, I think the first LG phone to have a dual SIM is, I think, the G4, I guess. I'm not sure about that. But I can see the light. I'm not sure if you can see it, but yeah, you can see that red light. That means the phone works again, just except with a broken screen. I thought I was gonna kill the phone, but luckily I didn't, which I was thankful because, you know, this is actually the phone I actually take care of despite not having those important features like the SD card slot, dual SIM, or whatsoever. Maybe in US you don't need a dual SIM card because US actually uses a carrier base. Like for example, you get a Verizon or whatsoever. But in the Philippines, we actually don't use those. We all just get a carrier-free phone, and you can install any SIM card of your choice. Like for example, you want Smart, which I use, but you can also use DM or whatsoever. So let me just connect this to my PC because you know what? I'm kind of curious. Yeah, that red light is means it's alive. So let me just grab my cables. Hopefully I was having it close to me. Yeah, it started vibrating. That's a good sign. So let me just get the file explorer. Nope, my phone isn't there. That's kind of weird. But soon as get in the, I don't know how to pronounce it, but the name is, let me just put in the comments. Yeah, that's the tool I use for screen sharing. For some reason, it's not detected. Let me just, that's my drivers. Let me just fix it. That's so pain that I wish I can get it right. Drivers updated. So I'm gonna go back in here. Why is it not loading? Let me just, okay. So for some reason, unauthorized, but it does light up. That's just weird. Yeah, no touchscreen, no display. Of course, since the display was broken, you're also not getting any touch input on the display. It just does absolutely nothing. So let me just screen share you what I'm getting. I mean the error. So let me just share it. So here is the error I got. Error. Yep. Unauthorized. Oh boy. Not good. So yeah, I'm getting that error. I mean that type of error. So it seems I cannot unlock the phone, obviously, because it has a password on it. I'm gonna move on to the next. Yeah, one more tries. But who knows? While I hear a vibration, I don't hear any sounds or whatsoever. So yeah, I'm gonna keep it like this and move on for now on. So yeah, I never expected it actually works again after the reassembly. It's been already 47 minutes since I started the stream itself. Like, come on. It's just about confidence. I mean, you need to be confident sometimes. Like, yeah. Sometimes you don't trust yourself because you think it's gonna break if you do that. But sometimes if you take the risk, well, at the end, you actually did it successfully. Anyways, I'm gonna be right ending the stream because, yeah. And also, I'm not gonna put the outro because I don't have a new outro for now. The last outro was from 2023. Like, yeah. Why is a 2 year old outro for 2025? That's just cringe. Anyways, see you soon. Bye bye.